Clashes involving militant groups over land and natural resources in the Democratic Republic of Congo have led to extrajudicial loss of lives, political violence, and rising tensions with neighboring Rwanda. Rwanda, on the other hand, is providing financial and material support to the M23 revolutionary movement in DR Congo. The Congolese Revolutionary Army, also known as M23, has been advancing on the regional capital of Goma, forcing nearly 50,000 people out of their homes. The name M23 is a short form for the March 23rd movement, which is mostly made up of Tutsis. On March 23, 2009, the National Congress for the Defense of the People, CNDP, signed a treaty with the Congolese government and became a political party, and its soldiers joined the National Army. Rwanda has denied backing M23, although the US, Congo, and the UN's group of experts have said it funds and fights alongside the group. The Congolese army and M23 have been fighting for control of Goma and the surrounding area for many years. In November 2012, M23 briefly seized Goma, which is a strategic city with approximately 1 million people, but later withdrew after an agreement with the government. M23 is the most significant threat to Congo's sovereignty, due to its alleged ties with Rwanda. In a turn of events, over 3,000 troops were sent by South Africa to help DR Congo against Rwanda. What were the reasons behind this? Will this assistance curb the situation? We are going to be answering these questions throughout this video. President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered the deployment in line with fulfilling South Africa's international obligation towards the South African Development Community's mission to support DR Congo. The Congolese army reported that since December 2023, the Southern African Development Community troops started joining them. The cost of the year-long deployment, which began on December 15, 2023, and ends this year, is estimated at over $106 million. According to President Ramaphosa, the expenditure will not impact provisions for the Defense Force's regular maintenance and emergency repairs. During an extraordinary summit of the South African Development Community heads of state and governments in Windhoek on May 8, 2023, its 16 member countries endorsed the Eastern Congo mission to help Congo address instability and deteriorating security in its restive eastern region. Decades of conflicts in Eastern Congo between myriad rival armed groups over land and resources, such as cobalt and copper, among others, have claimed over 7 million lives. The humanitarian toll of the fighting has been severe, leading to a displaced population of 2.4 million people in North Kivu. Many of the displaced persons are living in informal makeshift camps and suffer from hunger and inadequate security. Aid organizations have been struggling to reach them on several occasions. The United Nations Organization's Stabilization Mission, MONUSCO, has been present in DR Congo for more than 25 years. It has a force consisting of about 13,500 members, who have been helping to calm down insecurity in the region. Surprisingly, the task force has deeply become unpopular due to its inability to completely hold back rebel groups in DR Congo. Many people in Congo, as well as observers, have questioned why the force has not protected the country from M23 and other violent rebel groups. The Congolese population has even staged several protests and riots to send the UN forces out of the country. In December 2023, a UN Security Council vote dissolved MONUSCO, and their troops have now started withdrawing from DR Congo. South Africa's intervention in the affairs of DR Congo against Rwanda is nicknamed Operation Theba, and we do not know exactly how this operation is funded. Rwanda has been urged by countries like France and the US to end all support for M23 rebels in DR Congo, warning that both countries must walk back from the brink of war. The intermittent resurgence of the M23 must be seen as a reflection of deteriorating relations between Kinshasa and Kigali. UN experts and Human Rights Watch research provide significant photographic and other evidence that Rwanda is not only giving logistical support to the M23, but Rwandan troops are reinforcing or fighting alongside the armed group inside Congo. Could a South African military force help in bringing stability in DR Congo? DR Congo is facing one of Africa's most serious humanitarian crises. On February 15, 2024, the South African National Defense Force reported that 2 of its soldiers had been terminated and 3 wounded by a mortar bomb that landed inside a military base. The injured were taken to the nearest hospital in Goma for medical attention. Fighting between the Congolese armed forces and the M23 rebel group has forced thousands of people to pack up their belongings and flee. They often do this on foot to more secure areas, even though the rebels are present in almost all parts of the country. Take note that the efforts made by South Africa come after a separate regional military mission to combat the M23 by East African states, which DR Congo perceived as a failure just ended. Speculations remain as to whether the South African soldiers will be able to make any more progress than their East African counterparts did. In 2022, troops from the East African community led by Kenya were deployed for a ceasefire arrangement in the crisis and to ensure the withdrawal of rebel groups from DR Congo, including M23. The mandate was interpreted differently by both sides. While the Congolese government pressed for more offensive action from the troops and demanded that the East African community troops attack and wipe out M23 rebels, the soldiers mostly operated defensively. In the early days of their deployment, the troops did force some militia groups out of the area, except new offensives. Since then, M23 fighters have seen those gains reversed. When the East African Community Forces mandate expired in December 2023, Kinshasa refused to renew it. This is not the first time South African forces have faced rebels. In 2013, they, together with Mali and Tanzania, jointly formed an intervention force to neutralize M23. Experts say M23 arms and personnel have greatly increased since then, while the South African Army, which forms the core of the mission, has suffered from a lack of funds over the years. The military budget of South Africa has slightly reduced from $51.6 billion in 2023 to $51.12 billion in 2024. Another point that makes many people doubt South Africa's ability to completely eradicate the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels is her involvement in other battles. South African troops were sent to tackle ISIL fighters in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province in 2021 alongside Rwandan forces. Most of the region is now back under government control. Though the South African Development Community troops are still on the ground, experts fear they will exit prematurely to avoid overstretching the force. This might allow ISIL fighters, who still launch sporadic attacks and control a small area of Cabo Delgado, to resurface and seize more territory. South Africa's 2 biggest opposition parties, the Democratic Alliance and Economic Freedom Fighters, are not happy about the deployment and are also not convinced about the effectiveness of the troops. During a press conference, the Economic Freedom Fighters leader, Julius Malema, called for the immediate withdrawal of South African soldiers from Congo, saying that they were sent there to be terminated because they were not properly trained. Leaders of the Democratic Alliance on their part say the recent fatalities of South African soldiers in DR Congo were unavoidable, adding that the government had been warned that the deployment was irresponsible and unacceptable. The party's spokesman, Cobus Murray, has given prominence to his assertion that the South African Development Community troops will be sitting ducks because of a lack of air power. Without proper air cover, as well as transport and air elements, the troops will find it difficult to operate effectively in eastern Congo, which is a complex and hostile terrain. There are fears that a regional explosion might occur again in DR Congo, despite peacemaking strategies. The Democratic Republic of Congo has been facing a host of rebel groups since the regional powers erupted in the 1990s, when neighboring Rwanda pursued genocides responsible for the 1994 mass execution of Tutsis on Congolese ground. The M23 movement still uses the pretext of defending the Tutsis, claiming that they face tribal discrimination in DR Congo. They were pushed out in 2013, but resurfaced again in 2021, possibly because of renewed Rwandan support. The UN, Western governments, and Congolese officials have accused Rwanda of funding the group, which seized swaths of territory in 2022 to control the region's minerals. Kigali's refusal to accept this has caused a serious diplomatic rift in the region. According to the UN Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the situation risks creating a regional explosion. The future seems oblique, following the withdrawal of UN forces from DR Congo. The reserve force for South Africa is aging, with an average age of 46, and is only at half of its supposed strength. Neither the regional power struggle nor the battle for control of DR Congo's riches bodes well for the nation's civilians, who have so far borne the brunt of violence. Rwandan President Paul Kagame has agreed to meet with his counterpart from DR Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, to discuss the ongoing conflict in eastern Congo in the days ahead. What outcomes do you expect from such a surprising and extraordinary announcement from the government? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.